We've seen a AI shared responsibility model that is very similar to the SaaS shared responsibility model. Can you just talk about those different, how it's different if you're just, say, a user of a SaaS versus building your own AI?
Now, we've looked at and we have been analyzing in terms of how the clients are consuming AI. The patterns we understood and observed is they are either consuming AI as a SaaS, meaning a SaaS, something like a ChatGPT or a Salesforce or Adobe. Those become a AI as a SaaS, that environment, where the model and the data ownership is on the SaaS provider. Right? The client is interfacing, inferencing from those models as a outcome, from an outcome standpoint. Right? Then the second one is there is a hybrid model where the builder is leveraging certain services, certain infrastructure services like IBM or Azure or Google or others, and they are setting up the patterns there and either fine-tuning the models or using the RAG patterns to take their data there and then create the AI application and then use it for inference purposes. In this case, there is partial amount of that entity in the middle where the client is bringing their data to serve an application for their business function, right? And there are in some cases, which is in the minority place, where the client is building the models ground up, be it leveraging cloud as an infrastructure or on-prem as an infrastructure using IBM's capabilities of watsonx or other service providers' capabilities. So in this model, if you see that first thing, what we talked about AI as a SaaS entity, what is the shared responsibility here? The service provider will own everything up to the application inference point. So here is where the client will, now the end user like me will, on behalf of client, is going and inferencing through that particular model. But I'm putting in my data, my inference points, my prompts, which may constitute my enterprise data. So that's where that particular ownership resides on me. Who's authenticating to it? What is the application connectivity and application security of during that interface inference phase, and the API security plus the data that I'm putting in is part of my responsibility. But the rest of the things is a service provider responsibility, from the infrastructure to building the model to bringing the data, training the model, etc. All of that is the client responsibility. If you take the second part of it, yes, up to the infrastructure part becomes the service provider responsibility. But when you're building the application and bringing the data and building the application on that particular cloud, then that becomes the client responsibility. And anything in terms of the inference and the security during that inference, like the way we talked about in the first use case, that's applicable for the second one as well. When we talk to the third one, it's because we are building the model ground up. So everything except for the infrastructure layer now becomes the client responsibility. And this is what we take to the client. And now we assess and say, which particular model are you using? Thereby we can now say, if you're using the first model, here are the specific security elements. And there are third-party security technologies or IBM technologies that we can bring to the table and say, okay, here is how we can secure your AI application. If it's a second one, there are a few more things that need to be done. The third one, obviously, there are a lot more things to be done on that.